This is Thank You Mama weekly lessons from mothers all around the world. A long time ago, I had a successful corporate career in a large mobile network company. It was the very beginning of mobile phones and networks, and our industry was growing so rapidly, it was compared to ATMs for the amount of money it kept spitting out. And so, like all the big, rich companies do, we had yearly events for managers where special people came to give us clever talks. I love those events because they took place in Burgtheater, which is one of the most important theaters in German-speaking countries. But it's also a gorgeous old theater located in the very center of Vienna, just between the beautiful city hall and its own park, and then the Volksgarten, the Imperial Park on the other side. And the theater is just beautiful inside as well, with gilded halls and golden spaces, so that was a nice setting. And one year, the speakers were two economics professors from Sweden called Kjell Nordström and Jonas Ridderstrahle. And no, I did not remember this. I had to Google it. They were authors of Funky Business and Karaoke Capitalism. They were like these rock and roll rebels or punkers of business with their shaved heads, and they wore black outfits and these black glasses with thick frames. And they were sitting on the stage presenting us with their rock and roll theories about business. And to us, people who worked in business, it all felt cute. It still makes me sad how distant academia is from real life, because I do believe it would be incredibly useful if we managed to connect the two worlds. Because academia really, really does have a lot to teach us. And I'm learning this more and more as I started teaching at a university myself. And I'm like, oh my God, there are all these theories that are so useful. I wish I knew them before. But yeah, it's a shame that the academia doesn't know how to, or is not willing to communicate to us non-academics. But anyway, the two funny guys on the stage at one point asked us, what do we think good managers or managers of the future, I don't remember how they worded this, should be like? I heard a few answers of my colleagues, and then the answer popped into my head without much thinking: a mother. So I asked for the microphone and gave my answer. And I said, a great leader should be like a mother. And the two funny academic male men were so confused by my answer. They just giggled at it and brushed it away. I thought we will start talking about why a mother, but no, they just brushed my answer away. My guest today is a mother of 4. But she's also a manager with an extensive career in big corporations, and she's a co-founder of her own business. And when I asked her about her new project called Crayons and KPIs, for those of you who are not in business, KPIs is short for Key Performance Indicators, which are measurable values that show how effectively a company or a team or an individual is achieving their business objectives. And Elodie told me that only when she became a mother, she understood the parallels of being a mother and being a leader, which her project is about. So hearing this made me remember those two economics professors who had absolutely no clue what to do with the idea that a good leader should be like a mother. And this was, I don't even know, but maybe 20 years ago. And it said that not much has changed in our leading styles or our leader styles. I couldn't agree more with Elodie. Can you imagine a world in which our leaders, politicians, and managers acted like mothers? And yes, I know this is something I had to learn and accept through this podcast, and I'm very, very grateful for this. Some mothers are not positive figures, and we definitely don't want our managers to be like them. But let's talk about the majority of mothers who are. And let's imagine our leaders, our managers, our politicians being protective, nurturing, excited to see growth and learning and progress attuned to other stakeholders' needs. And here I want to mention the environment and planet Earth as well. Resilient, stable, always there for us, making sure we're safe and healthy and nurtured so that we can grow and prosper and be productive while being happy. Wow. We really do have a long, long way to go. But now here's Elodie sharing not only her inspiring story, but also her mom, Françoise, lessons of resilience and positivity. Happy listening. Hello and welcome to Thank You, Mama. My name is Anna Tyler. My guest today is Elodie Ferchaud. Elodie, as you hear from my beautiful French, is from France originally. Currently, she lives in Lisbon in Portugal with her 4 children and her husband. And Elodie is the co-founder and chief revenue officer at Boundless Life, where she helps families slow travel the world while maintaining high quality education for their children. She's raising her kids across the border. I just quickly caught up with Elodie and learned that she has lived, among others, in Switzerland, Japan, the UK, Sweden, Germany, France, and I'm sure there are other countries hidden somewhere there in the list. She's building a global company while managing school runs, bedtime negotiations, and night feeds. And Elodie has a history in corporate culture. She has worked for L'Oreal and for P&G for quite a while. I'm sure she will tell us about this. Elodie, hello and welcome.
Hi, Anna. Thank you so much for having me today.
I can't believe we're talking. You are in Japan right now because you just told me you are opening the Boundless Life in Japan.
That's correct. Yeah, I have the pleasure to be in Kamakura, which is very close to Tokyo, where we'll be opening our 8th location. So it's a dream coming true, loving that country to be able to launch my 5th baby here in Japan.
So what are the other 7 locations?
Well, we started in Portugal, then we went to Greece, Italy, Bali, Spain, Montenegro, Uruguay, and Japan. So we're now in 3 continents, which is really, really exciting, and trying to launch every year about 2 locations so that the families can keep on traveling around the world with the children.
Tell me about it. I introduced it very briefly. Tell me about Boundless Life.
Boundless Life has been kind of a crazy dream of ours. We're 3 co-founders who really realized after COVID that we wanted to live differently. A lot of things had changed in the way people consumed music, in the way people use their banking system and everything, but the way we live and the way we educate our children hadn't changed so much. And so we decided to create a new lifestyle for families, where families can basically live and learn around the world. We try to make it as simple as possible for them to hop around, slow travel, so they can move every 3 months while having the same education program wherever they go. So we keep as much consistency as possible for the children, try to inspire them with the world being their classroom, and help the families with homes and co-working spaces, and very importantly, community, because when you might know it as a parent, but when you're living, and even more so when you're traveling, you do need the community and that ecosystem to help you go through it more easily.
So it's families with children who decide to travel the world for a certain period of time, but keep their children in schools. And you help them find schools and organize the schools that will support this. And as you said, find a home and settle in these new countries. So you are like a
Yeah, so the
concierge service for this dream.
in some way, yeah, that's how you could describe it. What is important to know is that the education centers are ours, so we're not outsourcing. We
Oh,
actually
okay.
have our own education program, which was inspired by the Finnish program. So all our education centers are boundless education centers, open all year long with the educators who are our staff and who are welcoming the children and teaching them again all year long, who are trained by us. And that's why we can also ensure that there is the consistency in terms of education wherever the children go. The children have profiles that then travel with them. The classroom look exactly the same wherever they go, and the curriculum is the same, obviously. So there is an extreme consistency. What changes is the culture around them. And there is no better place to learn about Greek culture than in Greece or in Italy when it comes to Renaissance. And so that's what we're doing, trying to link as much as possible the local culture to the learning experience for the children.
Which years of education would this cover?
So at the moment, we welcome children from 1.5 to 14 years old. We're growing, like we were going up until 12. Now we're moving up until 14. And that's really the vision, to eventually cover all those critical years. And we're following a multi-age learning approach, which for us has been like a key belief from the beginning, that children also learn from each other across ages versus just batching them specifically by like the classical the classical age grouping.
Wow, very, very exciting. Very fantastic. But tell me about, so did I hear you only have daughters? You have 4 daughters?
So I'm saying daughters because my fourth one is a boy, but he's
Oh,
7 months
okay.
old. So I need to change my narrative. I've been so used to saying the girls, the girls, the girls. So now I have 4 children. So 3 daughters who are 11, 9, and 7, and my youngest, who is 7 months old now. Mm-hmm.
Who is helping you with them? How do you leave them in Portugal when you are in Japan?
So the kids are always traveling with me.
Oh, they're traveling with
So they're
you.
traveling here.
That's
Yeah.
amazing.
But I mean, generally, I do think that the support system is very important. Definitely, like being a founder is quite time consuming and energy consuming. I'm lucky enough to have a very supportive partner who also has his own company, but it's very much of a sharing of responsibilities and a project that we're building together as life partners. But we also have an au pair. We've always had an au pair for the past, I would say, like 7 years. Who is living with us, either French to help with the language, or we've had a Japanese au pair as well to just bring different cultural perspectives. And I've loved that system because it's basically someone who is part of the family, kind of a bigger sister, older sister, who is supporting in the day to day. So without that, it would be completely impossible. But I feel now it's also much, much easier. Like the girls are older. So I basically have 4 babysitters at home. Like they're so helpful with their little brother.
Are
So
they
it
excited
does
about the little
work out.
brother?
Yeah. It's just been a very, very happy encounter. Everyone has been loving meeting their little brother and is taking their role very, very seriously, but also with a lot of love. So it's quite beautiful. And I think what you realize when you're traveling is that actually it really strengthens the bonds between the siblings. Like the girls have really grown very close to each other. They've done so many things together, so many experiences and memories that they've been building together that really creates like tight relationships. And I'm hopeful that it will be the same with their brother as we keep on traveling.
We spoke very briefly about crayons and KPIs, your new project. Will you tell me a
Yeah.
little bit about that?
Yeah, it's been a really fun introspection project. I think when I was on mat leave, I'm quickly getting antsy when I'm on the mat leave, and I'm just thinking about like, oh, what could be the additional projects, or I have a bit of time, what can I work on? And I've realized how many parallels there were between being a parent and being a leader. This is something I think very often we see motherhood as a limit when it comes to career or a limit when it comes to ambition. And it's hard to grow a career when you have children. And yes, it is like, I wouldn't like, I wouldn't advise everyone to have 4 children and be a founder. However, I do think that it can also be a superpower that can fuel your ambitions, if you canalize it in the right way. There's so much we're learning as parents and as mothers, that can be then transferred as a leader. So what I'm trying to do, and I should be more rigorous, but it's hard to do it all. It's just to record like episodes that have happened with the children and kind of think, okay, what have I learned from it that will be useful for me as a leader as well. And there's so many moments. It's really fascinating when you look at it from that angle. So that's the little side project that I've been working on.
Tell me about yourself a little bit. So you grew up in France.
I grew up in the south of France. Both my parents were teachers, so I grew up in the education space, and we were lucky enough, therefore, to travel every summer. So every summer, my parents had 2 months of holiday and 1 month was dedicated to travel. It was very humble travel. We would take the car, we would go to a neighboring European country, and we would go camping. And for me, like that really what started this, I think, travel bug, and loving to be on the road and loving to connect with other cultures. And I always had this idea that I would meet someone who would not be French and my daughters would speak many languages, or my kids would speak many languages.
Did it happen?
It did happen. My partner is Swedish. The girls are trilingual. But yeah, that was my childhood. My parents also welcomed an American lady when I was 15 in the family, just for a year. And that also like really, I think it switched on something in me. It drove my interest again for other cultures. And then when I went into business, I just wanted to work abroad. So I've always worked abroad in different countries. You mentioned it, but I had more of a traditional expat life back then, like moving around every 3 years.
Was this before children?
That was before children. That's right. Yeah. Mm-hmm. Yeah. And then when the girls were born in Japan, then after that, we moved back to the UK and then decided to have like even more of a faster pace of travel, but with the intention of coming back to places. Because when you're an expat, you travel for 3 years and then you leave that place kind of forever. But we wanted to be able to come back to places, come back to people. And that's why we've started this movement of like slow traveling every 3 months. So then you can go back to places. Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Let's talk about mom. Mom Françoise.
Mm-hmm.
Will you teach me? Teach me about her. So now we know she is a teacher. Tell me a little bit about her life.
She's a beautiful and very caring soul. She was born also in the south of France. Her mom was also a teacher, which, by the way, back then was quite progressive. And her dad was in the military. So my grandpa was traveling a lot. So it was really like her mom and the sisters. She was the second of 3 daughters. So really, when I had my boy, it was breaking that cycle.
Wow, that's interesting. Do you have sisters?
No, I have 1 brother.
Okay.
And yeah, she was the artist, the more sensitive one. So she became a music teacher, met my dad, who was also a music teacher. She worked her whole life. She had 2 children, and she lost one. She also had cancer. But she's loved life more than anyone I've ever met, despite all of this. And she's still here. She's still alive and traveling and enjoying this life. But in that way, she's been a great inspiration for me. And we're extremely close, definitely to this day.
If you don't mind me asking, when did she lose a child? Was it a baby?
My brother passed away. No, he passed away when he was 32. So it was 7 years ago. So that was like that was definitely like a key moment. And for me, that was also like the moment when I transitioned from big corp to then like my own passion and my own projects. Just being very aware that life can be short,
Yeah.
and thinking about, okay, what do I want to do out of this life? What do I want to maximize? What is important? If it was ending today, would I be happy with it? And so that was a big, like, a big revelation and changing point, definitely.
Was it a surprise or
Yeah.
it was?
It was a very tragic event. He passed away in an avalanche, so it was very, very tragic for the whole family. And I think as a mom, especially now, like imagining what she went through, and despite all of this, still being in awe again for like life and enjoying it, and turning this terrible moment into a very like in a driving force in how she's living her life was really an inspiration.
How did you do it?
That's a very good question. That's an excellent question. So I do think that she had some form of like, because of her cancer experience, she had already gone through like really, really hard times, really, really hard times. But by essence, she's this very petite lady, and you wouldn't guess when you see her like how powerful she can be. But she's always, I think, there are some people who just have like so much positivity in them. Some call them wisdom, some call them naivety. I don't know what it is, but mom definitely has that kind of wisdom and resilience. Just keeping on going and believing that there will be better days, and there is a reason, or at least we can make something out of the most negative, and honor, I guess, life in a way for those who are not with us any longer. So that's kind of the belief, I think, just to maximize the chance of being here, the chance of enjoying every day with the ones we love. And that's what I'm trying to embrace now with my family as well, making the most out of every precious day we have together.
Does she come and stay with you? Does she get to see you for children?
Yeah, we usually she travels to or wherever we are, as long as it's not too far. She's not the biggest fan of taking airplanes any longer. But whenever
Like
we're like, exactly, back to our earlier discussion. But she comes on location, on Boundless location, and then I also go there during the summer so we can spend some quality time together
with her. So you are still traveling every 3 months? You're still moving every 3 months with 4 children?
I mean, in the last 6 months, I've been a little bit more static because of the baby. So there is so much you can do when the little ones are very small. But we'll be back fully on the road in September, and like traveling again every 3 months. We're looking forward to it as a family. Like everyone is talking about when we'll be back on the road. So there is definitely an appetite.
What's your next stop?
So the next step will be we'll go to Spain, and then we'll go to Sweden for the holiday, and then we'll go to Japan. So that will be a year between Europe and Asia.
Let's go back to Mama Françoise. I think we've already learned indirectly from her, but would you share what do you feel are the biggest lessons you've learned from her?
I think we've talked about the positive outlook to life, and basically whatever life throws at you, trying to have that positive outlook. I think the belief also behind that is that the best way to be supported in general in life is also to have that kind of positivity in you. I think when you have that positive mindset, you're suddenly becoming kind of a magnet. People come and want to share or support, and that in general just drives your personal well-being, just being able to be surrounded by the right people. I think the other thing that I've discovered that I kind of knew, but it's been very clear in the past few years, is also to stay open-minded and curious along your life goes a long way. So typically, like mom Maman was like a teacher in the French system. And
Mm-hmm.
so there were a lot of rules on how you educate children. And I think when we launched Boundless, we're basically challenging a lot of those rules and traditional ways of educating children. Basically, we're questioning something that mom had been doing her whole life. So she could have, she could have reacted in a very different way. She's been the most supportive all along this, always curious about new approaches, asking questions, and also I think deeply appreciative also of the impact, the positive impact it had on my children. So there is this whole notion about trusting the ones you love, but also staying a child for your whole life and keep asking
Mm-hmm.
questions and being okay with not knowing or being okay with the fact that things around you might change. So that's something that I've learned more recently from her. Yeah. We've talked about resilience. So in general, like that's something that definitely drove me, especially in the past 10 years in between, the health challenges and my brother. She's always been like teaching us that, the love for life, I think, can be like stronger than anything. And you can always rebound. Like it might take time, it might be hard, but there is always the end of the tunnel. There is
Mm-hmm.
always a positive outlook that you can look forward to.
Elodie, here's a question. And you are my interview 184 now. And one of the biggest lessons that comes over and over again, or maybe the biggest
Hmm.
or most common, is resilience. But now, as you were speaking, actually, for a while, I've been wondering, is this a lesson? Is resilience a lesson? Do you think it's a lesson? Do we learn resilience by looking at them? At our mothers being resilient? You know what's the question? Is like mom is happy. Mom is, I don't know, creative. These are not lessons, but resilience, mom is
Mm.
resilient, comes as a lesson over and over again, which is fascinating to me. And you are the first person I'm going to ask now to think about this together with me. We don't necessarily learn creativity from mom. We don't say, but this resilience, which is a trait more than a lesson,
Mm.
we women perceive as the biggest lesson from our mothers.
Mm. It's interesting because it's not something that I remember or that I thought was a lesson from mom until I saw myself applying resilience to my whole life and then linking it back to some of her
Ah,
life experiences. So it took me some time to actually realize that or recognize that. I think my mom was always very discreet about it. Like I think French families are less proactive when it comes to life lessons.
yeah,
I talk a lot
yeah.
to American families, and there is a lot about teaching about life every day with
Mm-hmm.
your children. In France, we don't talk about it so much. So it was not like that obvious to me. But from the moment I faced like big challenges, and I had suddenly to to reflect on it. I just suddenly realized, like, oh my God, like life threw so much at her, and she just like kept on going with calm and resilience and modeling it for us like day in, day out. So I do think it comes as a lesson, but it was only obvious when I had to do that journey myself.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Thank you for that. So it's something we learn from them through just looking at them. They teach us by modeling.
By modeling.
Yeah,
Yeah, I
yeah,
think so.
interesting.
I
Yeah,
think so.
it's interesting. Uh, have we covered the lessons? I have positivity, and I have staying open minded and being curious and being okay with not knowing. I have resilience that comes through love of life.
Mm-hmm.
Is there anything else you would like to mention as a lesson you've learned from her?
Mm, I've also learned about the importance of still following her passion as
Okay.
a as herself, as
Mhm.
Françoise. She was like really hardworking her whole career, very loving. There was no help at home,
Yeah.
and she loved her job like her whole life. So I think it was a pretty, like, what I remember is basically a pretty good balance between,
Mm-hmm.
like, you know, doing the stuff she wanted and then still being present, for us. But definitely, like, looking back at it, it's been for me again, like a good role model of, you know, a woman who is still following her passion while being able to raise her family. That's something that's always been important for me as a mom of like two and then three and then four, and always having this question of like, can I do it? Can I still come back? Can I keep on going with like this growing family? But I think without having had like this role model also of, you know, my mom who was like steadily doing her job, like rarely complaining, again, super positive, and still being present for us. That was clearly a model. It was possible.
And Elodie, just to be clear, the passion is her job. Teaching music was her passion.
Yeah.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Yep.
Yes. Mm-hmm.
Let's jump into the last but equally important question of what do you wish she had taught you? Is there anything important you've learned yourself and you're like, oh, I wish my mom had taught me this?
Yeah, I think that's it's a very interesting question, and it's a really, really hard one to answer. But I wished mom had learned me to be better at saying no.
Mm.
Because again, like she was always there for us. Like I never remember, I don't remember a moment when there was a, like, you know, we needed something and she would say, no, sorry, I need to do something. There's something more important. I need to do this. Like there was always, she was at service, basically,
Mm.
always supporting us. Um, and sometimes I guess to the point of losing herself, because there was just so much going on. And this is still something that I'm learning or working on,
Mm-hmm.
as a woman and as a mom, just sometimes also realizing when it's too much and taking some space, for myself, basically better listening to myself, because I want to, yeah, I want my kids and especially my daughters to understand that it's okay sometimes to say no, and it's okay to not always be, you know, the good girl. So I think that's the one thing that, yeah, that maybe I wish, she had taught me. Yeah.
Mm. And by good girl, when I hear you, that rings in my head as not always necessarily be at service to others. Is this
That's
how
right.
you would define good girl? Always being there
Yeah.
for others, but realizing that sometimes we too have boundaries and we have to sometimes, as you say no and take care of ourselves. Is that
Yeah.
possible with
Yeah.
4 children, Elodie? And a job?
I don't know. That's a good question. Still working on it.
Mm.
I think, I think I, I don't think it's easy. I do think it is possible. And I think when, I mean, the times when it's really happening for me, I think because I'm just getting to a point where I'm like, you know what, like I just need my space. Like just give me a few hours, give me a day. Like I really need that space. The kids understand it.
Yeah.
Like the kids
Yeah.
really understand it because
Yeah.
they feel it as well. Like they also sometimes are like, you know what, there's just too much. I also want my space. And I think they're just much wiser than us most of the time.
Mm. Mm.
So it's just this kind of duty or this pressure that we put on ourselves. But I think that kids are much more resilient in general than what we give them, and much better understanding at that. So yes, it is possible. I'll
Mm.
put it on my list for 2026.
We just watched a movie yesterday with Michelle Pfeiffer, and I don't know what it's
Uh-huh.
called, but it's a new Christmas movie I think it's new and it just came out. And she's this perfect mom of 3 grown-ups in the meantime. But she's one of these, stay-at-home American moms who's crazy about Christmas. And then all the children and grandchildren come and she takes care of the whole family and decorates the house and does this uber-drüber Christmas. And everybody is dealing with their own things and nobody is grateful. And at one point, they forget her. They all go, she organizes a theater for everybody.
dear.
Everybody goes, they forget her, and she escapes. But why it's important is because when the movie was over, I spoke to my husband and my son about this. And because I was really interested, my husband often tells me nobody asked you to do this. And I wonder, how much do we women take on, and we think this should be done, or this is expected of us, or we would be great moms or great wives if we did this. But I think we really have to critically examine and be like, does this really need to happen? Do I really need to bake, 3 different cookies, or is one sort of cookies enough? Do I really need to decorate the whole house, or can I, I think when we women need to recognize that sometimes they don't even expect all of this from us. We are just, sometimes we're making the life harder for ourselves.
So true. Yeah. De-dramatize a lot of it and be lighter with things. I think that's spot on. Yeah, definitely.
Because the real joy and real experience and joy and love comes from such a different, honest place. It doesn't need to be in complicated dinners and
those little moments. Exactly. And I think that's what a lot of our families rediscover when they're traveling, and when suddenly, like, you don't have all those obligations. It's like the power in those little moments, and the power in like spending quality time with each other versus having to set things up, having to like create things around what really matters. Exactly. Yeah.
Elodie, is there anything else you'd like to add to our conversation?
No, it's been a real pleasure. I've learned a lot, so I appreciate like all your questions. It's been a very, like, it's a perfect time, especially at the time of the year, to have those reflections. So I'm thankful for this conversation, and for your podcast. Thank you.
Thank you for being a guest. And I'll put a link to Boundless Life in the episode notes. Whoever is interested, they can go and look it up. What an amazing opportunity to explore the world and open the horizons for our children. Great work, Elodie. Congratulations.
So much, Anna. Thank you.
If you enjoy Thank You Mama and want to help it grow, please take the 2 seconds to leave a 5-star review on Apple Podcasts. It really helps. If you'd like to get in touch, you can send me a mail at info@thankyoumama.net. You can also find me on Instagram, Facebook, and Twitter under Anna Teider. That's Tajder. This was Thank You Mama. Come back next week, subscribe, and tell your friends.